what his thoughts are about the Public Protector's report. Mr. Montana, thank you very much for joining us. He's in our Sea Point studios. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Peter.
Your thoughts on the findings? 19 out of 37 are pointing the finger at you and your administration.
Well, firstly, let me say I welcome the report as well, the conclusion of the investigation. I think that for the first time, I in fact agree with Popo Molefe that this has been an albatross around the neck of Prasa, and I think that the conclusion of this investigation is, I think it's very important, not only for Prasa, but I think for individuals like myself, and I think that for all those who are interested in the transformation of our public transport system. So I think it's good that the report has been concluded. I didn't see I couldn't, of course, I don't have the copy of the report as yet, but I could listen to Advocate Madonsela speaking on presenting her report. My response is as follows. Even though I welcome the report, and I think that some of the recommendations are good, but I think that Advocate Madonsela missed the point. I think that...
how so?
I think that can you hear me, Peter?
Yes, how did she miss the point?
Well, firstly, I think that if you look at the report, I think that I've picked up probably in almost every second or third sentence, there are a lot of factual inaccuracies in the report. And some of them, in fact, I think that they were very dramatic. My own family was asking me earlier on, Peter, that this uncle that you appointed, which side of the family is he coming from? These are some of the factual inaccuracies.
All right,
the appointment of a company of a so-called Mr. Modisella, who's linked to me. I haven't met even the chap there.
All right, let's break it down. Let's break it down to simple things then. Were there ever any tenders handed out without following due procedures? Contracts handed out without following tender procedures?
No, I think Peter, that's where the main issue is. We follow different. I think Prasa follows different kind of procurement processes. That those that go out through an open competitive process, advertised in the newspapers. There are closed tenders in that process. That those that go through a confinement process, they are all regulated by Prasa policy, but all of them must, of course, subscribe to the Constitution, to the Public Finance Management Act. I think that the interpretation that the Public Protector has given to most of this, I don't think that they're quite right, and that is why, based on the fact that the report is factually incorrect, there are a lot of inconsistencies. I think, in fact, that Advocate Madonsela chose drama than the truth on this particular matter. And I've asked my lawyers to say, I want this report to be taken on review and set aside in its entirety.
Mr. Montana, the Public Protector said that you flouted your own rules, that she started off looking at your procurement procedures as laid down by Prasa, and you didn't follow those rules, Constitution to one side.
That can be correct. That is why I've had so many very detailed, massive submissions of documents to the Public Protector. In fact, I was shocked to learn from her today that Prasa didn't cooperate with her own investigation. I think that is one particular issue that I take issue with. There are a number of issues where Advocate Madonsela had a lot of evidence, and instead of making her ruling, what she instead suggested is that she'll deal with it in the second report. In fact, the matters that she referred to the second report are matters that have contained all the details where she could actually apply her mind. But she chose. I think that there's been a very inconsistent application, and that is why I'm arguing today that she, instead of focusing on the real issues, being balanced, she chose to create drama. And I think that she made a very fatal mistake, because I want to set this report out aside and actually prove to the fact that she wanted to strengthen this public perception.
All right. Another very simple question, Mr. Montana. Another very simple question: did you fire several executives? The CCMA says reinstate them, and you refused to do so. Did that happen?
Peter, that's not correct. You remember that the firing of executives is again within my own domain as CEO at that time and in consultation with the board. And I think that is something that particular matter, the firing of executives, once I've consulted with an executive, the Labor Relations Act It doesn't say I must go through a disciplinary action. It says I must ensure that the employee is consulted in all those instances that the public protector referred to. I've made sure that there's proper consultations. I've made sure that I've discussed. And where I've taken a decision that we should part ways and sign a separation agreement, I've applied my mind as CEO. So there are certain things that the public protector likes. When she punishes some of the junior employees and say, like Buthelezi, that you didn't have some of these tenders being approved by the group CEO. But where I've approved them, she turns around and takes a completely different approach.
You may disagree,
so I'm saying,
you may disagree with the public protector, but the CCMA made a ruling and you defied that.
But Peter, that's not also true. You see, these are the factual things. Unfortunately, we've got a limited time, but these are factual things that the public protector took a view on, which are not based on facts, which are not true. And that is why it's only a court of law that can correct. The fact that you, as a journalist, can actually believe something that is not correct, okay, and repeat it on national TV is part of the problem. So I'm saying I respect the public protector. I respect the office of the public protector, but I'm going to exercise my rights and say, let's get a court of law to review everything. And you'll see the inconsistencies and the fact that the public protector allows a sense of fairness and justice to live here because she was trying to satisfy this public clamoring for revenge, for
another question. If I could just get a definite answer, did you fire a cleaning company and appoint another one without going through a tender process?
I did indeed. I did fire 7 cleaning companies for failing to do their work at Park Station. It was filthy. It was unhealthy for passengers. But the public protector got it wrong that I appointed the companies to replace them because that is done by division of Prasa at their own recommendation, and this is the kind of falsehoods that are being spread. But I think that I want this report in its entirety to be reviewed, set aside, and I think the people of South Africa will know the truth. So the public protector, I'm extremely disappointed with the way in which she tried to actually present. I mean, she drew certain conclusions which are not based
Montana,
on facts.
Aren't you just disagreeing because you've been found guilty of so many of these charges? Isn't that the case here?
Peter, I think that if you are fair, you'd say that if a court were to find in my favor, would you repeat the same statement? Because it is my right to make sure that I challenge it. So I think it's an unfair question. It suggests that you guys believe something that it can actually be contested. It's open for debate. It's open for review. And I think that we must treat the public protector report in that way. Today I only saw drama, not the truth. And that is why I'll deal with the truth in a proper court of law.
All right, we certainly look forward to see what happens next and hear what your submissions will be. Thank you very much for giving us your initial reactions this evening. That's the former CEO of Prasa, Mr. Lucky Montana, rejecting the public protector's findings.